I bought this at the Japanese American National Museum. It means heaven. It says it on the back here. It means heaven. This symbol means heaven. And the way that you pronounce the symbol is 10. Look at that. It says 10 on the back there. So 10 is heaven in Japanese. Today's a beautiful sunny day in California. Yesterday was overcast and it didn't feel like the best day to film. I thought it was gonna rain. I checked the weather app and it said nothing about rain, and it didn't rain. But this is a beautiful day. The sun, the clouds. It's a beautiful day to give thanks. And that's what it's all about. Yesterday I had a conversation with a teacher, colleague to whom I support. I'm a support staff member. And she was interested in my stories, and I told her, and I had a wonderful exchange with her. I told her everything that I could, that time permitted. And I showed her pictures of my travels. Well, I showed her pictures of my cartoons. The cartoon or the comic strip, these are depictions of the things that happened to me while I was traveling. I didn't show her pictures per se. And so I told her that 10-9 impressed me because there were so many moments when those numbers just kept meeting me. And she got it. She was like, yeah. I told her about the time I was in Ethiopia and I saw 10-9 on the door. It was written on the door, but why was it written there? Who wrote it? And it didn't match. It didn't fit for where it was. We were on the second floor, and yet someone wrote 109 on the door. You would think that 109, if that's the room number, it would be written on the first floor, on a door on the first floor. But it was on the second floor. So, that was a peculiar moment there in Ethiopia, which I told her about. I told her about the time I walked into a hotel room in the Middle Eastern country of Bahrain, and there was 109 or 10-9 on the satellite box. I told her about the time I summited Machu Picchu in Peru, and when I checked my watch, or I checked my cell phone clock, it was 10:09. But I also explained to her that 10:09 to me is still 10-9 because of the values. We have 10, that's 10, and then 09, well, that's still the value of 9. And she got it. She understood, She understood what I was trying to communicate. And I was like, that's dope. Some people you can talk to, you can tell them these things, and they can just be like, whatever. Other people are like, yeah, I dig it. Tell me more, I'm with you. And that was the impression. That was the situation that I got with her. And because I've told these stories so many times, it's also a little, I want to say boring, tedious, monotonous. But then when you're speaking to new ears, when someone hasn't heard your story before and they're showing interest and they're inquisitive and asking questions, then that energizes me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've got more to tell you. So I told her about Bahrain, I told her about Ethiopia, I told her about Ireland. I ate my meal, I looked at the receipt and I was receipt number 109. I told her about being in Saudi Arabia when the taxi that was matched with me, the license plate read 109. I told her about Sweden. I went to the museum and the museum guide said, join the tour. And as soon as I joined the tour, right behind the museum guide's shoulder, right behind her, in a display case, there was a document from 1934 with the number 109 written on it. I told her about all of these instances. And after I told her about those instances, those isolated instances, those moments, those encounters with 10-9, I then wondered, well, those are a bunch of isolated incidents. Yeah, they're correlated, they're connected because of the number 109, but what's the conclusion? Or why did you even, why have you spent the last 4 or 5 years talking about this subject and going on? Like, why would you do that? And then I remembered Jean-Michel Basquiat. Now, I didn't have the opportunity, the chance to tell her, but I'm gonna tell you all right now. So Jean-Michel Basquiat was an artist that I learned about in the year 2004 or 2005, 20 years ago. And when I learned about him, his art and his life and everything about him resonated with me deeply, and I wanted to learn more about him, which I did, and I'm glad that I did. But in around 2020, I bought a DVD about a documentary about Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I watched it one night, and that's when I saw a work of art that he created in which he wrote 1009, and that, of course, that blew my mind. That kind of rhymes, right? I could probably get down and get some lyrics flowing. Hey, here, I'm a little inspired. The sun is shining right. It's a bright day, light, cool breeze. You see, not far from the beaches of California. I'm at ease. But anyway, so when I saw that Jean-Michel had written 109 in the painting, I was excited because he's my favorite artist. And so I jumped up and I wanted to tell people about what I had found in one of his works of art. And when I grabbed my phone and began to type a message for Facebook to share it with the world, I noticed at the time was 11:09. That blew my mind. Also, that rhymes. So all of this stuff is what happened to me, and then now once I had Basquiat's work of art with 109 on it, that became one of my favorites, if not my favorite Basquiat work, because that was like personal. That's me right there. I see it. But then some weird things started happening, because as I studied this work of art by Basquiat over the years that, after learning about it, I started to see this work of art in a different light, especially after I saw this picture of Nipsey Hussle. And then I said, wait a minute. Well, I mean, the day that I found this picture of Nipsey Hussle, of him in Japan, standing in front of Shibuya Ichimaru-kyu, or 10-9, like, that was bizarre in and of itself. But then when I saw that picture of Nipsey, and then I looked at the painting by Basquiat in which he wrote 109, then it was like, okay, now things are coming together in a way I guess I didn't expect. But I love how it's coming together, because there's this ideal of coincidences. It's not that. Something else is happening. Something big is happening. And so here I am standing before you today with these stories about isolated incidents where I encountered 10-9, but then also there's a work of art by my favorite artist with 10-9 written on it. Then there's a picture with one of my favorite rappers with 10-9 in it. And the picture and the painting almost look identical. So that is even deeper, like, this is wild. This is not some bizarre, searching for, meaning, searching for anything. There's meaning there. There's certainly much that meets the eye. There is much that meets the eye. You just have to look at it, and you have to be curious enough to say, okay, now what connections are there? And then make those connections, and then everything becomes far more clear. It's a warm day out here. The sun is shining. I don't want these cameras to overheat. I think I've done enough talking, and I think I'll cut it right here. All right? I've got more to say. I've got plenty more to say, but we'll cut it for now. All right? Peace and blessings. This is iSee109, and I'm out.